What's going on, Vikings Nation? As you all know, training camp is underway at the TCO Performance Center up in the Twin Cities. So we have to take a look at what's kind of been going on, who's taking reps with the ones, who's taking reps with the twos. So yesterday, we have day 2 of training camp. We have some notes from there, and we'll kind of work our way through that to see what we are actually seeing in training camp and what to expect kind of going forward. So here's some of the notes. First off, quarterback Jaren Hall from BYU has looked really solid so far. At least yesterday he did. He's been performing really well. As one Vikings insider basically wrote, that in the first 11-on-11 period of practice, Jaren Hall ripped accurate throws over the middle to Lucky Jackson on consecutive plays. Later in practice, he threw a perfect ball with touch to Thayer Thomas on a well-covered crossing route, putting it just over the defensive back where only Thomas could catch it. So that's pretty good news. Hall also followed that up with a nice back shoulder throw up the left sideline to Cephas Johnson III. However, they did mention after this that he has missed a couple throws. There was one that was nearly intercepted and stuff like that. But you're going to expect that with the rookie quarterback, especially Jaren Hall, who was drafted later in the rounds. So he's looking really solid so far. He's making some throws. He has some miscues and stuff like that. But it's training camp. It's early on in the process. As long as he's looking good, that is all I care about. Number 2, Jordan Addison, we already know, took a lot of reps with the number 1s. Obviously, this was going to be the case when we drafted him as high as we did. It seems as if it's going to be Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, and Jordan Addison as our 1, 2, and 3 at wide receiver. Then obviously TJ Hockenson at tight end. Next, Jalen Naylor. Okay, after having a great practice during day 1, he did not participate yesterday, and the reason is unknown. Not sure what it is. Maybe it's a family issue. Maybe he's sick, or I have no idea what the case may be with Jalen Naylor. But he did have a pretty solid day 1 of training camp, so we'll kind of continue to follow that story as it moves forward. Now, Lewis Cine, okay, last year suffered a gruesome injury, I think, week 3 or something like that, or maybe it was the preseason, I can't remember, but it was a gruesome injury. Okay, had to stay over in Germany, and he missed the entire season, even though we were looking forward to seeing what he was bringing to the table. However, he's firmly taking reps with the 2s. That's because Harrison Smith is a number 1, obviously, and we have Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus there at safety trying to take reps with the 1s as well. So Lewis Cine could end up being on the bench to start the season. We'll see how it kind of progresses. But as for Lewis Cine, all right, this is what we got. This summer, Cine is back from his injury, and he's been a full participant in both of Minnesota's first 2 full-team training camp practices during the last 2 days. Now, he reportedly hasn't been getting much work with the first-team defense, but don't be surprised if that changes during the next few weeks, because we have to figure out who's going to be number 2 alongside Harrison Smith. Is it going to be Cam Bynum, Josh Metellus, or Lewis the Sledgehammer Cine? We really don't know. Now, yesterday, Cine shared that Minnesota's new defensive scheme under Brian Flores is a better fit for his skill set than the scheme Ed Donatel ran last season. That's probably the case with all of our defense players. Okay, Ed Donatel was horrible. He didn't help us in any situation. We didn't blitz. It was just bad, right? Now, in regards to Flores' scheme, the second-year Viking safety said that it takes a lot of the thinking out of it, okay, and lets you just go be a football player, and that's what these guys need. Just go out and play ball. We'll fix the little things as we see them, and hopefully you don't remake those mistakes. Now, that's according to the Athletics' Alec Lewis. All right, another thing we have to talk about here is that Brian O'Neill continued work on the rehab field, coming off that Achilles injury. We're trying to ease him into things, not full go, making sure he's 100% healthy by the time the regular season starts. I wouldn't expect Brian O'Neill to play in the preseason. If he does, it'd probably be preseason week 3 or our 3rd game in the preseason, and then for sure he'll be ready to rock and roll week 1. So that is very good news. Also, Ivan Pace continued his work with the 2s, drafted him out of Cincinnati. He had shown a lot of promise. Seems like he could make the team, or he's going to make the team, excuse me. It might not be as a starter, but he could make his way up to that role. Also, Bobby Evans, we just signed him from the Los Angeles Rams. He was a free agent, I believe, plays right tackle or left tackle. He's a tackle, okay? That's all you need to know. However, he worked at right guard with the 2s. Now, right guard, we have a big question mark at, because Ed Ingram was very inconsistent last year. We're really unsure what was going to happen this year. Were we going to draft a right guard? That was not the case. But when Bobby Evans was signed by us, I said, look, we could fill him in at right guard, because in my opinion, the offensive line is the easiest place to kind of move around and move around different positions and stuff like that. It is one of the toughest positions on the field, but I think you can move to different positions on that offensive line. So Bobby Evans taking reps at that right guard with the twos. Also to take note of is our cornerback situation. Andrew Booth Jr., we drafted out of Clemson just last year, had an okay year, not the greatest. We had a lot of injuries there. He really couldn't show us too much, but he should have been a little bit better. However, it seems as if he's not taking a lot of reps with the ones, and he might end up on the bench to start the season. Here's a little tidbit from that. It says, well, it seems like a Caleb Evans is on track to make an impact for Minnesota in 2023, but the same can't be said about Andrew Booth Jr., at least not yet. So far, Caleb Evans, Byron Murphy Jr., and Jawan Williams have been getting most of the corner reps with the first-team defense, which for me was assumed already when the Vikings are running their nickel package, according to the Athletics' Alec Lewis. Now, it's certainly a bit concerning that Booth hasn't really received reps with the first-team defense this summer since Minnesota spent a second-round draft pick on him in 2022, but hopefully he's able to make the most of his opportunities during the next few weeks and impress the Vikings coaching staff enough to give him some legitimate playing time this year. So it's early on in training camp. Obviously, we're just going to put people where we think they're already going to be to start the season, and then we'll kind of move them up and move them back accordingly. Let's see how Andrew Booth does with the ones. Does he look brand new? Does he look way better than he did last year? How consistent is he and stuff like that? I think Andrew Booth's going to see some time, but he's going to split that time, I think, with a Caleb Evans this year. At this point in time, a Caleb Evans, Byron Murphy Jr., and Jawan Williams, who I guess has been balling out, and he's a massive corner. Those three are probably going to be set in stone as our starting corners, but Andrew Booth Jr. can certainly squeak his way in there if he has a phenomenal training camp and a phenomenal couple preseason games. So those are some notes to take away from training camp. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think about any of this. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It would be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your night, folks, and Skol Vikes.